Have you ever felt completely lit up by a vision for your life and then almost immediately started talking yourself out of it? Part of you knows, I want this. I am meant for more. This feels true. And then another part starts negotiating with the desire. Is this realistic? Can I actually do that? Who am I to want that much? So what happens when your soul is pulling you toward expansion, but the personality you have practiced for years is still calibrated to what you already know? And that is what we are going to be talking about today on Infinite You. Welcome to Infinite You, beautiful souls. I'm Dr. Sheri, and here on this channel, I help you move beyond limits, align with who you truly are, and consciously create more of what you want in your life. Abundance, freedom, vitality, meaning, purpose, joy, whatever it is you came here to experience. And if these are the kind of conversations that help you think differently about yourself, your life, and what you are creating, make sure you hit subscribe below and definitely hit like if this video resonates with you. So let's dive right in. I think most of us have experienced this in some form. Something lights us up, maybe an idea, a relationship, a business, more money, a book we want to write, a place we want to live, a healthier, more vital version of ourselves, a completely different way of spending our time. And there can be this moment before everything else gets involved where the desire feels incredibly clear. Yes, it feels expansive, alive, maybe even obvious. And then your personality starts talking. And when I say personality, I'm talking about the familiar version of you that has learned how to move through your current reality in life. That part of you with a history, expectations, beliefs, patterns, programs, ways of thinking, ways of responding, ways of interpreting what is possible. And that personality may have some very different ideas about the vision your soul just handed you. And so maybe your soul is saying, I want to do meaningful work that reaches thousands of people. And the familiar personality says, that sounds exhausting. You're not good enough at putting yourself out there. There are already so many people doing that. Or maybe your soul is saying, I want to be wealthy. And your personality is saying, be realistic. Money is hard. It doesn't grow on trees. People will judge you. You should just be grateful for what you have. And maybe your soul is saying, I want to feel deeply alive in my body. And the personality begins consulting everything it knows about the past. What happened before, what the statistics say, what has been difficult, what hasn't changed yet. And this is where we can unintentionally start taking a desire that felt expansive and shrink it until it fits the identity we already know how to be. And that is such an important thing to notice, because sometimes the issue isn't that we don't know what we want. We do know. The issue is that what we want exceeds what our current identity has learned to expect or believe what is possible. So your personality has helped you navigate your life. And I made an entire video recently about identity and personality, so I'll talk briefly about it here. Your personality has helped you navigate your life. It has learned, it has adapted, protected you, succeeded, solved problems, created relationships, built things, gotten you here right now. But the personality that knows how to navigate the reality you already have may not automatically know how to inhabit the reality that is calling you forward. And that is where I think alignment becomes really interesting, because alignment isn't just saying, this is what I want. Alignment is also becoming conscious of what happens in the rest of you when you allow yourself to want it. So the question really is, does your body expand or contract? What thoughts appear? What do you immediately start telling yourself? What seems exciting until you make it personal? What do you believe someone like you gets to receive? Where do you automatically pull yourself back toward what feels familiar? All of this is information, and it is definitely the interplay of conscious creation, alignment, desire, your identity, your limiting thoughts and beliefs, your programs, and having it all kind of come together at once in a perfect storm, whether it is, a dark, deep cloud, or, just some amazing, new burst of lightning and insight, right? And so all of it is information. It's not evidence that you shouldn't want the thing. Information is really about where the familiar personality and the deeper desire are not yet in agreement. And this, to me, is where soul really matters. I think there is a quiet confidence that can come from the deepest parts of who we are. The soul doesn't always give you a 12-point business plan. It doesn't necessarily explain how everything is going to happen. The soul is that beautiful, that non-physical, non-polluced, all-knowing, always connected, eternal part of you that is just the observer, watching the bigger picture and really helping bring down all of the creativity and the downloads and the possibilities through you so you can begin to create and manifest. But the soul really is about just simply a knowing, just simply a feeling that this matters to me. I want to experience this. This feels true. I need to explore this. And that quiet knowing can be very different from the noise of the personality. So we all know the personality interfacing in this 3D reality, right? We want evidence. We want a guarantee. We may want to know exactly how it is all going to work before it allows you to move and decide and go forward. But the soul can simply say, go that way. And I think one of the most powerful things we can learn is how to recognize that difference, not because every desire is automatically a divine instruction, not because every impulse needs to be acted on, but because sometimes we have become so accustomed to consulting our limitations that we no longer give equal weight to the part of ourselves that knows what lights us up. And I think this is where next level identity work becomes something deeper than just deciding, I'm going to be a more successful person. What if your next level identity is not something you have to manufacture? What if it is part of something that you simply are uncovering, that you are discovering? When I think about the pursuit of self-actualization with Maslow or self-realization with Yogananda, what's really going on? It's really being a vessel to expand and understand our own consciousness unfolding so we can create in this physical reality. Remember, I always say Earth is our playground to create. So the question really becomes, what if your soul and this journey is really about part of something meant and designed for you to uncover? And who are you when you stop organizing your life around the beliefs that tell you what you can't have? And then the other question to me would be, who are you when you stop allowing yesterday's evidence to determine tomorrow's possibilities? And who are you when you stop editing your desires before you have even explored them? Maybe you are more creative than you are allowing yourself to be, more powerful, more adventurous, more visible, more receptive, more spiritual, more ambitious, more joyful. Maybe there are parts of you that have been waiting for permission from the personality you created to survive a completely different chapter of your life. And maybe that permission doesn't need to come from the old personality or identity at all. And so the big question is, how do you begin shifting this? I think first you have to let yourself hear the desire before you start negotiating with it. If something lights you up, stay there for a second. Don't immediately ask whether it is practical. Don't immediately Google the odds. Don't immediately start telling yourself why it would be difficult. Just let yourself know. I want that. There is power in allowing yourself to tell the truth. Then notice the conversation that follows. What does your familiar personality say? Your program, your beliefs, what do they all say? Don't judge it. Just recognize it. Maybe it says, you'll fail. You can't afford that. That's not for people like you. You're too late. Okay, that is the current program, right? And now you get to ask, is that actually true, or is that just familiar? They are not the same thing. Familiar comes from patterning, programming, beliefs that you've been carrying, and the truth with a capital T is coming directly from your soul. So then begin giving that vision somewhere to live in the present moment. Look, I've had visions throughout my life about what I have wanted to create, and I just put them out there, and I'm not attached to the when, and I'm not attached to the how. And I mean, the things that have come to me have come in ways that I never, ever, ever could have scripted. And so just remember that the idea, the vision, the inspiration, the message, the calling, whatever it is you're receiving, put it out there. Let the energy of it take care of it for you. Because when you believe, truly believe with your whole being that this is exactly how it works, you will be amazed at how things come to you. You could never write that story for how it can happen. And so on a more fundamental level, going from the energy of it to the physicality of it, so from 5D in soul to 3D in the physical world, in a very practical way. If you want to become a writer, write. If you want greater abundance, begin learning how abundant people think about value, money, time, receiving, investing, opportunity, creation. If you want more vitality, start developing a relationship with your body and what vitality means for you right now. If you want to teach, teach. If you want to learn something, teach. If you want a more creative life, create something today. Not because one action instantly manifests the entire reality, because you are beginning to tell your body, your mind, your soul, your identity, your energy, this matters. This is who you are becoming. And that is very different from keeping your deepest desires safely stored in a someday that never arrives. And this doesn't mean bulldozing yourself into action. This is where tuning in matters and just starting that slow process of putting it into the physical world. There is a receptive side of creation and an active side. The intuitive being receptive side, is the divine feminine, and the active side is the divine masculine. And there are times when you feel the invitation to move. There are times you feel the invitation to pull back and just simply receive those amazing downloads. So you know when to say yes to both parts of who you are. And you know that there are times when the deepest alignment says, not yet. Listen, let this develop, rest, pay attention. To me, this is where creation becomes a relationship with the wholeness of who you are, body, mind, energy, and soul, where you tune in, where you notice what is ultimately true for you, and then you move or you don't move from that place. That is very different than allowing limits or fear or old programs make a decision by default. We are creating our reality all of the time, whether we are conscious about it or just kind of floating along with it. So I want you to think about something you genuinely want right now, something that lights you up. And you know what? If it's not an active thought, let it come to you later in the day. It'll pop in. Just relax and be open to it. So ask, and before you ask how you're going to get there, just notice who shows up when you imagine having it. What do I mean by that? Who are you? Who are you? Who shows up when you imagine having it? Does your deeper self expand toward it while the familiar personality starts making the vision smaller? And if so, maybe there is nothing wrong with the desire. Maybe the invitation is to begin to allow your personality, your thoughts, your beliefs, your expectations, your choices, your way of being to become more aligned with what your soul already knows is possible for you to explore. This is becoming, not abandoning who you are, becoming more of who you are. And if you are recognizing an old identity or a belief loop in this conversation, my quantum identity playbook was designed for you to identify the loops, the limits, who you are, what you want in every area of your life, and question what is still true for you, and begin consciously creating from the identity you are choosing now. Everything is a possibility. So I will put a link below for that, for my free newsletter and my really cool freebie daily reality shaping practice that will help you tune into really exploring more of what you want and what your soul wants to experience in this lifetime. Remember that your personality does not have to be a permanent container around what your soul is allowed to want. You can listen more deeply. You can question the familiar. You can choose beliefs that support where you are going. You can allow yourself to become more comfortable with possibility. And little by little, your identity, your personality, energy, and the choices you make can begin moving in greater alignment with the truth of who you are. Sometimes your soul does not need to become louder. Maybe you simply need to become quiet enough to hear the whispers of what it has been telling you all along. So thank you so much for being here. And until next time, keep listening to what is calling you, keep choosing what feels true, and keep becoming more of your infinite you. I will see you next time. Beautiful souls, namaste.